Hello, YouTube. It's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Fiancé Season 12, Episode 11, Meeting the Family. So we're just going to get on into it. Before we actually do get on into it, I do want to make a little public announcement. You guys know I don't normally do like gossip news, breaking news, or anything on my channel, but this one I do want to talk about. I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to Kenny and Armando. You guys remember Kenny and Armando? They were on season 2, 3, and 5 of 90 Day the Other Way, living in Mexico. As you guys probably already know, Armando's daughter Hannah, who, by the way, they were featured on 90 Day Diaries recently. Hannah got her visa to come to America, but Armando was denied for some reason. But Hannah, unfortunately, had gotten really sick and had to be rushed to the hospital, and she had to be life flighted actually from Mexico all the way to the United States to Phoenix. She apparently has a brain bleed. She's had multiple tests done. They're trying to figure out like what caused it, like what's going on. Throughout this whole process, they wouldn't allow Armando to go with her and stuff. And Kenny was already in America. He was in Ohio. He quickly flew down to Arizona to be with Hannah and stuff. Now, after a lot of like a lot of back and forth and stuff, Armando has finally made it to got him like some kind of like little temporary visa just to be with Hannah. And he's been updating social media about Hannah's condition, and he's been really emotional, and it's just sad. Little Hannah, she's like everybody's favorite girl. She's like 13, 14 years old. She's really beautiful. And it's just sad that she's going through this. So please continue pray for little Hannah. Keep Kenny and Armando, and of course Hannah, in your prayers and stuff, everybody. So yeah, but now let's get started with the recap. The first couple I want to talk is Marissa and Edward. And Marissa she is in her head. It seems like every episode we're starting off with Marissa telling Edward what to do. They're supposed to be going to this party with her friends, her high executive friends and stuff. And she's telling Edward what to wear. They're trying to go match and stuff and everything. So Edward changes his clothes so he could like basically fit in and stuff. They're on their way to this party, right? And Marissa is telling Edward, don't talk about baseball to them. These people are a little bit more sophisticated and everything. So, just ask them more about what they do with their lives and everything and all that. Edward's just like, okay, yes, ma'am. And she's like, yes, ma'am. And so they get to the party, right? And, everybody is excited to see Edward and stuff and everything. And she made another comment. No, I'm not going to mention this comment. I don't want to go there. But anyway, so Marissa is Edward is mingling with Marissa's friends and stuff. She has a conversation with her girlfriends and saying that sometimes like she doesn't feel like Edward's like incompetent or an idiot, but she's just like still always clearly second guessing herself and everything. Edward is having a conversation with the boys, and he ends up talking about baseball and stuff. He says baseball is really big in the Dominican Republic, and that he wants to have like his own little training business for whatever and everything. Marissa gets up and interrupts the conversation. It's like, I hope he's not talking about baseball, and he was. And you know what? I would have been talking about baseball too, to be honest with you, and stuff and everything. So later we see Marissa have a conversation with her girlfriends, and she's like, she's saying that she's basically lost sight of herself. Nah, really? Because she's saying that Edward, he's so nice, and outgoing. He's been really patient with me, and here I am being mean and nasty and everything and stuff and everything. Like, he don't really deserve that. And her friends flat out told her, it's like, yeah, like, this is not like you, Marissa. You're losing inside. You're not this mean person and stuff and everything. Who are you? Like, like, Edward clearly deserves better. Because realistically, from just what I've seen, this whole season with Marissa and Edward has just been like Marissa just like undermining him and like under underestimating his underestimating his intelligence, basically. And Edward is he's a great man. Like, he's trying to, as we all keep saying, he's trying to fit into her lifestyle, but her lifestyle is clearly too much for him, and she thinks she's so high and mighty. Okay, you know what, I'm going to bring her down to reality a little bit. For someone so high and mighty and everything, you would be talking about his male areas at your workplace. High executive, you know what? If you want to be like the high executives and classy, sophisticated people, don't have inappropriate conversations like that on the workplace, and possibly have been the reason why you get fired. So if you want to go there and say how Edward may not be able to fit into this lifestyle, how about you check yourself on your decision making, Marissa? And yes, I went there. Now, I don't want nobody coming at me in the comment section about that, but I'm tired of Marissa just like really emasculating him, because he's trying. He's trying. Like, this is all new to him. You got somebody from the DR. He said, like, Edward said when he get into this party, he normally at the hotel that he works at, he would see these people at the hotel, but now he's mingling with them. So even that is a culture shock, but he's fitting right in and stuff. But you know what? Her friends were really lenient. Her friends were not as bad as she was, actually. Like, he fit in, he could crack jokes, he could talk about baseball and stuff and everything. Like, there is a time and place for sophistication and just like casual conversations and stuff. And I ain't gonna lie, I like to have like be in classy environments, sophisticated conversations too. But there's a time and a place, and I do know how to do a happy balance when it comes to that. So she just keep questioning herself, saying that she lost sight of herself and everything, and she's not like this. And her friends were like, "Hey, you're not like this, and he's been so good, and then I've just been so bad. I just don't know." And it's just the same old thing with Marissa now. Now she did a video over the weekend, say on social media, saying that, talking about the scene with the girlfriends, and she's like, I don't think Edward is dumb or incompetent. I was just basically in my head and like questioning a lot of things going on at that time, blah blah blah, and everything. Marissa likes to like really defend herself after every episode. Now again, and I talked about this last week. Probably a lot of this is probably produced as well. The producers do like to make people like say things that they shouldn't and stuff and everything, just to add the spice. Because realistically, Marissa and Edward haven't really been fighting over any other things. They just, this is like their storyline. So I'm thinking this is probably produced driven and stuff. And yeah, and I'm sure that will come out at the end of the season. So yeah. But anyway, that was Marissa and Edward. I want to get them done. The next couple I want to talk is Asia and Maxwell. So Asia and Maxwell, we didn't see Maxwell. Yeah, we didn't see. I don't. Yeah, no, we didn't see Maxwell, but we seen Asia and Maxwell's mom have a conversation, and Maxwell's mom flat out told Asia, "Look, you're about to marry my son." Now last week they had issues over the age difference, but Maxwell's mom finally put Asia in her place. And actually, a few people put Asia in her place, but we're gonna start with Maxwell's mom. She was like, you're about to get married to my son, and you have like, I'm worried because you're trying to change myself. Like, God made us who we are and everything. God made us a temple and stuff. And she was like, yep, you're right and everything. and you want to change his face, you want to change his acne and everything, and his eyeballs and stuff. Like, God made him the way he is. You have no right. And she flat out said, you have no right to change my son. And she's like, okay, you're right. But she was just like, yeah, but then she tried to be like, but God, but the temple sometimes was renovated. Like if you have stuff broken in your house, don't you want to fix? Don't you fix things? And she's like, no, don't do that. That is not the same thing. And it's not. She's right. It's not the same thing and stuff. When you're a person, you shouldn't really, like, if you're in, especially a person of faith, you shouldn't change what God really made you. Yes, you can make some things a little bit better to make yourself a little bit more healthier and stuff and everything, but no. But then now, Maxwell's mom, she is still a little weird. She's saying, now, what about the acne? She was like, my husband had acne, and then we had kids, and then his acne went away. And I want you to have 4 kids. Once you have kids and stuff, his acne will go away or something like that. And she was like, wait, what? Yeah, that's just some weird stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Maxwell's mom's a little weird with that. Asia's 38 years old and wants her to have 4 kids. And yeah, that ain't happening. That is not happening. So, so they went on a little bit with that, but other than saying that she needs to have 4 kids and then the acne will go away, which is ridiculous. But other than that, Maxwell's mom was right. Asia has no right to try to change Maxwell's face and stuff. Now we can make improvements, like if it comes to our health and stuff, but still, if God made you the way you are, you should accept him and love him the way he is. That's what I'm saying with that. So later, Maxwell, Asia had a conversation with, remember at the beginning of the season, her godbrother, I think his name was Rod, that was helping her that went with her to the immigration lawyer and stuff and everything. So she video called him and said, hey, we're getting married and we need you to come out here for the wedding and stuff. And he was like, he was like, girl, what? You're marrying this guy? And she's like, yeah, like, you don't even know him. Like, he was like, he called her the B word. He's like, B, are you crazy? I was cracking. He was like, B, are you crazy? Like, how, like, you don't even know this guy, and then he even asked, are you pregnant or something? And she's like, I'm not pregnant, but she's like, I do love Maxwell, yada yada yada, yeah, and I need you to call my family, and because they don't know what they're doing when it comes to flying and bringing them up here when you come. He's like, girl, you are crazy. I cannot believe you're marrying him. And why are you doing this now? She was like, it just makes more sense to do the spousal visa and let's get married right now within this week than to go back home and wait more time. It's already been a year and stuff. And and Godbrother was like, I'm gonna have to come to see this guy and just like probably knock some sense into you because this is ridiculous. And she got mad at him. She was like, you know what? He has a tendency to act like that, but this is the first time he's act like that to me and stuff, and I've never been on the receiving end on it. I would have thought he would have had my support, but I guess not. But he was like, I'm coming, and he's gonna bring the family. But he was another one. He put Asia in her place. I'm loving how these people are finally putting Asia in her place and stuff. Some things I be on her side, like the kids thing. I'm on her side with that. But everything else, I'm loving seeing Asia be put in her place. This is hilarious. So, but that was Asia and Maxwell. The next couple I'm going to talk is Katie and Joshua. So I will admit in this episode with Katie and Josh, it was a nice break from her drinking and her hangover moments, even though it was brought up later. I will admit, it was a nice little break from that because I was so tired of every episode seeing Katie either drunk or hungover and stuff. So this episode, Katie and Josh are actually going out to California to visit Katie's family. Prior to them going to California, they had to get on a train and then take a train to the airport. And Josh was ready to go. Like, he wanted to get there early, but Katie was taking her grand old time, and he started rushing her. So Katie started to get mad and stuff, saying, "You're rushing me," and and everything. And she started acting a little moody. Joshua was acting a little moody and stuff and everything, and they got into an argument over that. Now, before that argument, they talked about religion. I guess like Joshua is not really all that religious. And he didn't say he's an atheist or agnostic. He's just not. Religious. And Katie comes from a Lutheran background. And they're getting ready to go out to California because it's Easter. So I'm guessing this was Easter 2025. So she talked about like would you go to church and like in every if you don't really come to church or not a believer, like that will be a deal breaker. And she said, now here's my opinion with that. Now you're gonna talk about church, and if he ain't a believer or doesn't want to come to church, at least for Easter and everything, that's gonna be a deal breaker. Katie, like don't make me get Asia on you, because that is some hypocritical BS. That is so hypocritical. You out there sinning, and like, okay, we all sin. We all sin. Like we all sin. We all fall short of God's glory. Everybody sin. I'm a sinner. She's a sinner. We're all sin. So I'm not going to act like we're all perfect here. But the hypocrisy for you to say that you want to be he wants to go to church and everything, and then if he don't want to come, then that's a deal breaker. But yeah, you're out kissing, you're out like really hardcore sinning, like kissing, making out with everybody, drinking heavily and stuff. Like come on now, come on now. So they get out to California. And after their argument about rushing, they get out to California. Joshua is planning on making sausage rolls for Katie's family. So they get in, they get all situated and stuff and everything. And Katie and her mom have a conversation. And Katie's mom really likes Joshua, and she wants Katie to like really stick with him. Katie had told her mom about what happened at her birthday party where she tried to make out with everybody. And the mom's just like, I don't like this at all. I really don't. And, Katie's again blaming her OCD for it. And I'm not going to get into her medical conditions and stuff like I always do. But her mom said, you really need to control your drinking, because like this is ridiculous. Like you're gonna lose. You already lost a lot of friends and stuff, and you're gonna lose your fiance if you continue to go down this pattern. Like this is not healthy. Katie had mentioned that her family is nothing like her. Her family follows the rules. She said that she's never been around so many people that follow the rules. Yeah, well, maybe you should listen to your family. Now, when she said that, now I'm starting to think that's probably why she's the way she is. She probably came from a strict background, and now wants to now live her best life and party. Yeah, I've seen that before. I had a friend from high school and college who came from a strict family background, and when they got to college, this person turned wild and stuff. So I'm starting to now see why Katie is the way she is, but this is a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. So, but like I said, I did. It was a nice break of not seeing her drunk or hungover in this episode, where she actually acted a little bit normal, in my opinion. So yeah, but so that was Katie and Josh. And speaking of religion, let's talk about Shay and Annabelle. Oh my goodness. Now, I've been on Annabelle's side until this episode. So, as we all know, he hung over. He hung over from his birthday party, and now he wants to go to church the next day. Annabelle's still mad at him from what happened the night before and how he was drunk and flirting with all them young girls and stuff and everything. But, she forgave him and stuff and everything, and now they're getting ready to go to church. Now, Annabelle, she is like hardcore Catholic. A lot of like the Philippine cultures, they are just like, not all of them, but a lot of them are Catholic and stuff. But she's actually going to go to a non-denominational Christian church. Shay said that this church is non-denominational, but it has like a little bit of a Southern Baptist style. So, and of course, the daughter Allison is there. So, so of course, so you already know it's about to pop off. So they meet up together to church. Annabelle walks into the church, and she was and the lights were like weird. She was like, "Am I in a church or at a disco?" She said, "Am I at a church or a disco?" Like really. And so, this is not her style, and I respect that. Some churches are just not every church and her style and everything. But while the sermon was going on, she was sitting next to Allison. Like Allison was sitting in the middle between Shay and Annabelle. And while the service was going on, Annabelle was just rolling her eyes. She was like looking at her watch. She was falling asleep. She was making snarky comments and stuff. She kept on tapping Allison. Is it over? What do we do next? You pray again, this, and that. Allison was getting frustrated. And you know what? I would too. I would too. I'm like, you don't have to like it, but you're gonna come into church and you're gonna respect this. Like even I've been to churches that I have not been comfortable at and stuff, but I'm not gonna be disrespectful while I'm there. I'm still gonna go and praise the Lord and get out. Now, some cases I'm like, in my mind, yes, and sometimes if it's too long, I'm thinking, okay, is it over? Like, I'd be like, yeah, but I'm not going to be disrespectful about it. Annabelle was disrespectful, rolling her eyes, falling asleep, like looking around at other people, giving them dirty looks and stuff and everything. So when it's over, they had a conversation. They're out in the parking lot having a conversation about it. And like Shay had asked Annabelle, did you like it? And she was like, not really. We had come from different styles and stuff and everything. And then Allison called her up and she was like, yeah, well, Dad, but she was like rolling her eyes, falling asleep, this, and that, and everything. And Annabelle was like, Allison, you're once again being a spoiled brat right now. And Shay was just like, okay, we can go to a Catholic mass. I can go to a mass with you. It's not a big deal. Like, Allison, you want to come? And she's like, no, I'm not changing. And Allison was like, no, I'm not changing religions or churches. No, she's here, so she needs to follow our way. Now, that was ignorant, Allison. That was ignorant. Because you said you want Annabelle to have an open mind. And why don't you have an open mind? Okay? Okay, I will. If what, fair compromise. Like you come to church with me this week, I'll go to a church that you like next week. We don't have to do this every week, but we'll compromise here. But Allison was just like, I don't want to change religions. You don't have to change religions or churches. Just go one time. Jeez, just be supportive and stuff. So she called her a brat. So this makes me a brat, and so be it. So Shay was just like, you know what, both of you stop. Allison, I don't want you starting nothing. Annabelle, like this is. Like, we just got out of church and you guys are bickering at each other. Then Annabelle starts rolling her eyes, and then Allison was like, you know what, I'm over it. Y'all figure this out on your own. And Allison gets in her car and she drives up on the curb. She drives all the way up on her curb and just storms away and stuff. And Annabelle and Shay get in the car and they argue over it. Now, again, I feel like Annabelle, okay, she didn't like the church, that's fine. She don't have to like the church. But again, don't be disrespectful. And she was disrespectful. She does have like resting bee face. She does. She actually reminds me of my neurologist. Annabelle looks a little bit like my neurologist. I ain't gonna lie. Every time I see Annabelle, I be thinking of my neurologist. I'm like, oh Lord. So, but yeah, I do think Annabelle was disrespectful at the church and stuff and everything. Like, God don't like ugly. God does not like ugly. But yeah, that was Shay and Annabelle. The next couple I want to talk is Mallory and Rajat. So, Mallory and Raj, after last week's whole baseball game debacle over Brandon, aka Brandy, and stuff, now there's another get together. Mallory's friend Ren and Michaela are having another cookout and stuff. They invited Mallory and Raji to the cookout and stuff. Um, Raj likes Ren and stuff because he said that Ren like reached out to him and said, "Hey, once you got here, you need anything, let me know." He likes him and stuff. He still has like issues with Brandon and stuff and everything. So everybody, but they flat out told Raj like, you know what, you got to like Brandon's not going anywhere. You're gonna have to get used to this and stuff and everything, and he's having a hard time getting used to it now. Throughout the season, I've been on Raj's side about this whole Brandon situation because it is weird that, she wants to be. I understand her, like Mallory and Brandon are good friends, and he's been there for her and stuff. But they don't need to be around each other all the time and stuff. And plus, they've been intimate before. If they weren't intimate, like this wouldn't be an issue, but they were intimate. So I've been on his side when it comes to that. Now, last week I wasn't on his side, and somebody called me out on being on his side in the first place. But no, but I'm saying I won't want my girlfriend being around someone who she was intimate with, like bringing me around someone she was intimate with all the time. Maybe every once in a little blue moon, something. But like I won't stop the friendship, but like I just don't want. But it's just weird and uncomfortable. But nonetheless, in this episode, the girls got Mallory and her girlfriends talk about the prenup. Now Brandon comes in, they eat, and then they go inside, and the girls have a conversation about the prenup that Mallory brought up a few weeks ago, and she wants to obviously protect herself and everything. Now the guys are on the other hand hearing the conversation and and Brandon was like, "What are you guys talking about?" And Mallory's like, "Can you please understand, like, and try to teach Raj about the prenup, like how she wants to protect herself and everything." Raj's defense, he was just like, like I didn't. You're like signing up for a divorce. I don't want that, and everything. And she was like, it's not about signing up for divorce. I just want to protect, like, my all my investment, that settlement and stuff. Brandon surprisingly comes to Raj's rescue and was like, well, did you ever think that ever consider that he packed up his whole life in Turkey and moved here? He left his family and everything. Did you ever think about that? And Brandon kept on going on and on about it. He was like, he packed up his whole life. You have to think where he's coming from when it comes to this. And it came like a battle between all the guys because Ren was saying basically saying the same thing. Like the girls were saying, but yeah, but this is this. But she still needs to get a prenup. And if this was the other way around, I would be saying the same thing. Even if he was from Alabama, she still needs to get a prenup. But the guys are saying, no, he gave up his whole life. He sacrificed way more than she is and stuff, like moving here, this and that and everything. And Raj is just like sitting there enjoying, like being like everybody defending, all the boys defending him and stuff and everything. So Mallory's just like, I do see the boys' point, but they don't know they don't understand what I've been through. And I don't really care what they think. So I'm going to do what I'm saying. So yeah, well, of course, Mallory don't care what nobody thinks. So she doesn't care what her fiance thinks about the Brady situation and and now with the prenup. I do agree she needs to get the prenup, but for the fact that she said that she don't care, that just shows her mentality and stuff. And that's the issue I've had with Mallory throughout the whole season. It's like she's not really caring about anybody else but herself in the situation. So after that conversation, Rajat goes up to Brandon and actually surprisingly apologizes to him. He's like, "Listen, I'm sorry for how I've been acting. You just defended me, and you're not a bad guy." And Brandon actually accepted his apologies. Like, we can move forward from this. Raj just said, still just, he was like, "I understand that, this is a little awkward for you, but respect." And he's like, just respect my relationship. And he's like, I got you. I've been respecting it And he was like, all right, let's go back and eat. So Raj and Brandon finally squashed their beef. Now, again, I'm thinking that probably could have been producer based as well, that whole scenario. Basically, that also could have been producer based as well, clearly. Because why all of a sudden, after being disrespected by Raj, Brandon coming to his rescue like that? Yeah, not happening. So that's clearly producer based. So yeah. So now Brandon and Raj are now cordial. So that's good. Now we can actually prepare for the wedding. Now, speaking of preparing for a wedding, are we going to prepare for this next wedding possibly? Debbie and Mito, are we going to have a wedding? Are we? Debbie and Mito. So time is ticking with them. They only got like a month left before they got to get married. We seen them on a boat ride, having fun on the boat ride. Debbie said that she doesn't want to have any like tough conversations, just let everything ease back in. And she said for the first time since she's been here, things have been a little bit better. And Mito's mentioned that too. Yeah, they went on the boat ride. They're happy and stuff. Then they get back home. Debbie's at work. Mita actually had a Zoom call with a Hollywood agent, and this Hollywood agent told Mita that he wants Mita to take more acting classes and learn more English, basically. And Mita was just like, "Will you be my agent?" And he was like, "You know what? Let time tell. Take more classes, get more English, and then we'll go from there." And Mita was so excited. He's like, I want to become an actor. My dream here is to become an actor and stuff and everything. So he told Debbie about the conversation, and Debbie was happy for him, but he's like, but I just want to make sure you're here for the right reasons and stuff and everything. Because remember, after 6 years of being in a relationship, Mita has never told Debbie that he loves her. And remember last week, Debbie also wants a actual proposal. So in a way of getting to it, because time is ticking, Debbie decides to surprise Mito and takes him to a wedding venue. They go to this wedding venue and they meet with the lady. It was a surprise, and Mito's irritated because it's pressure, and he was just like, "Oh, here we go. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing now." But dude, time is ticking. Time is ticking. So, so the lady shows him around the wedding venue and stuff and everything, and then leaves Debbie and me to have a conversation privately. And Debbie asked me, "So what do you think?" And he was like, "This is a lot." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "This is just too much." He was just like, "You know what? I think I need to return home." And she was just like, and then he was quiet. She's like, you cannot shut up at what you just said. Like, explain yourself." He was like, "I think it's just time to go back home. This is too much." And then Debbie just storms out, and she goes outside, just starts like bawling, just falls to the ground and just starts bawling. I feel for Debbie. I feel for Debbie. Like this, and rumor has it that they did get married, but I'm praying for that relationship. I really am. Don't get mad. Debbie's actually my favorite female castmate of the season. Don't ask me why. I just think I feel bad for her the most, and I sympathize with her the most out of everybody. And she's really trying with this guy, and this guy is clearly here for the wrong reasons. I don't normally, it's only rare with people when I say that some of these 90-dayers who come here are here for a green card and stuff. It's rare when I say that and stuff. There's only been like 2 or 3 people that have said that in the past, like. And and they all 3 of them's names are Muhammad. Danielle Muhammad, Eva Muhammad, and realistically Mita's real name is Muhammad. So all the Muhammads that came here are the only ones who have said that we're here for a green card. Because yeah. Now I don't know what's happening off camera or what the producers are telling them, but this is just not a good look. It's really not. Really not. So we'll see. I didn't see a preview for them being on next week's episode. So once again, everybody was so mad for 2 weeks in a row we didn't have them, and now they came back, and then we're not gonna have them next week and stuff. So I don't know what's gonna happen with Debbie and Mito. And that was basically it. We did not see Thomas and Paula in this episode. We'll see more of them next week. And yeah, that was basically it, guys. All right, guys, again, that's the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. To all my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I hope you guys enjoy my content. I appreciate you guys' love and support. I'll be back on tomorrow, Tuesday, to recap 90 Day The Last Resort, then Little Singles, then Married at First Sight. So another busy week, but stay tuned. So love you guys. Bye-bye.